Hey everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Kristi Brower, here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hey Katie.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going really good.
Well, glad to hear that. What you've been up to today?
Oh my goodness. Finished bottling our last batch of honey and got it finally all posted on Etsy. So I talked about it a little bit, but if you guys are interested in our honey, you can go find it on Etsy. It's Joyful Goddess Designs is our store, but it is going really, really fast.
That's so exciting.
I don't think this batch will be in stock for very long, but we'll make more. But yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah, it's
that is exciting.
Pretty cool to see all these bottles. I bottled 80 bottles between yesterday and this morning to have them like all laid out on my kitchen table. It's like, wow, that looks amazing. Yeah,
that is very cool.
Fun. So some of that and making some stickers for our water bottles for our upcoming trip. And because here, I'll show you one. I'll show you two. Get in, losers. We're saving Halloween Town.
I like it. I like it. We're going to Halloween Town, so that fits.
And what would One-Eyed Willie do? And Goonies never say die.
No, they do not.
Yeah. So just stuff like that. Yeah.
Just little things like we're going to have a blast this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, I've spent my entire day getting ready for this show. Because it's about time that we talk about Tim Ballard. Some of you may know exactly who we're talking about, and some of you may be like, who the hell is that? Because, we live in Mormon land. We are ex-Mormons. And Tim Ballard is somewhat of a superhero / mythical creature to people in our communities. Folk hero. Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about who Tim Ballard is, and then we're going to get into why are we talking about him. Tim Ballard is known as an American activist, works particularly in anti-sex trafficking. He's a speaker and an author, and he is the founder and former CEO of Operation Underground Railroad. And if you think that name is problematic, you are not alone. And we will get to that.
Yeah. I can remember for years seeing signs in our, like right on Main Street, there's a billboard kind of spot. There used to be signs there all the time for meetings for Operation Underground Railroad.
Yes.
That's been a very popular conversation and topic here in Rexburg for a long time.
It has. It has. The problem is that, well, there's a lot of problems. We're going to get to those, okay? So you may be familiar with the film that came out in July of this year, 2023, called The Sound of Freedom. And this is a movie that was inspired loosely on the work of Tim Ballard. So Tim Ballard is a Mormon. He grew up in California. He served a 2-year Mormon mission in Chile. And then he went to BYU, Brigham Young University, with a Bachelor of Arts in Spanish and Political Science, and then a Master of Arts in International Politics from the Monterey Institute of International Studies. Ballard worked for the CIA and then as a special agent in the Department of Homeland Security. And then he founded Operation Underground Railroad in 2013. He says that his organization has rescued thousands of trafficking victims in other countries. There's no actual documentation of that. We don't actually know because Operation Underground Railroad is a nonprofit organization, but it is a private organization and has no oversight. So we don't actually know what those numbers are. He has been accused many times of inflating his numbers by people who've worked within his organization. He has worked with the federal government quite a bit, briefing politicians on the issues of child sex trafficking and just on sex trafficking in general. Um, he was asked by President Trump to join a White House anti-trafficking advisory board in 2017 and has done some law enforcement training on data mining and using data mining software to arrest men who are suspected of distributing child pornography. Testified before Congress a few times. He's done a lot of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
In around 2020, the Davis County prosecutor opened an investigation into Operation Underground Railroad. There were some concerns about the way that money was being handled. We don't know all of the details of that. We do know that there were complaints that OUR and Ballard were conducting illegal fundraising. And there's been questions about use of money as well. So we know that
Davis County, Utah. Yeah.
Davis County, Utah. Sorry, I forget. This is a Utah thing, right? We talk about Utah a lot. We don't know exactly what all was investigated, but they were investigated from 2020 to about March of 2023. Locally, it's been pretty well known that some of what's going on with Ballard and OUR have been seen as promoting QAnon conspiracy theories around child sex trafficking. There's been a lot of concern about what's real and what isn't. So, just recently, Vice, the media organization Vice, they've been doing an investigation on Tim Ballard and Operation Underground Railroad for a while. A letter that Vice reported on, it was an anonymous letter sent to employees of and donors to the anti-trafficking group Operation Underground Railroad, asserts that founder Tim Ballard left the organization recently after an internal investigation into crimes made against him by multiple employees. That investigation has now been confirmed to have been an investigation into allegations that Tim Ballard sexually harassed 7 female employees. In true Mormon fashion, this investigation has been done by a private law firm and been done internally. So currently there are no criminal charges filed. We don't know if that will change. But we do know that just a couple of months ago, right, shortly before that film came out, that Tim Ballard left Operation Underground Railroad. And it's reported 2 ways that he opted to leave, and it has also been said that he was removed by the board. We're not sure which of which, but clearly there were some concerns about his behavior at Operation Underground Railroad. Now, at the same time that was happening, he was the CEO of the Nazarene Fund. You may be familiar with the Nazarene Fund if you are familiar with Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck, also a Mormon, a very well-known right-wing pundit, I guess is what you would call Glenn Beck. He and Tim Ballard have worked pretty closely together, and I'll tell you, let me give you what the Nazarene Fund, this is their mission: to liberate the captive, to free the enslaved, and to rescue, rebuild, and restore the lives of Christians and other persecuted religious and ethnic minorities wherever and whenever they are in need. So the Nazarene Fund also works in trafficking, I guess, and Tim Ballard was the CEO of the Nazarene Fund. And about the time that he was no longer with Operation Underground Railroad, he was also not with the Nazarene Fund. So, just a few days ago, Mitt Romney, who is a Utah senator, announced that he will not be running for re-election. And there had been rumors that Tim Ballard was planning to run for his seat. And about the time that that happened, a whole series of articles came out from Vice. And we've included all of this in our show notes so that you can go and read it. But basically talking about him leaving Operation Underground Railroad, talking about the concerns and allegations that have been made against him. And then something that is truly stunning, I think, to anyone with any kind of current or former Mormon affiliation.
Yeah.
The LDS Church, or the Mormon Church, came out and made a public statement separating itself from Tim Ballard. Now, when scandals happen with Mormons, mostly what happens is that the LDS Church says nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Anything.
They didn't say shit about Chad Daybell. They didn't say a thing about Lori Vallow. They haven't said a thing about any of these other cases. But Tim Ballard.
Normally what happens, and if you live locally in these communities, you know that letters are sent to local leaders that are then disseminated with recommendations about what the LDS Church expects its leaders and its members to do in relation to any kind of criminal or scandalous activity. But to make a public statement, and to make a public statement not through their own media, Deseret News and KSL, which they own both of them, they made the statement directly to Vice. Now, lots of people are swearing that this isn't true. It has been confirmed over and over again by multiple news outlets that this statement is authentic, did come from the Mormon Church's PR department, and that this is their official standing. So what's happened is that Tim Ballard has been good friends for a long time with a high-ranking Mormon leader named M. Russell Ballard. That Ballard and Tim Ballard are not related, but they have the same last name. M. Russell Ballard is the president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, which is the second level governing body of the Mormon Church, the highest level being the office of the Prophet of Mormon president and his two advisors. So, I mean, we're talking like fourth in line in power in this church, which is, for Mormons, a really big deal.
Very big deal.
Really big deal. So it has been known that Tim Ballard and M. Russell Ballard were friends, and Tim Ballard denies this, but it's been said that he has used M. Russell Ballard's name and the name of the Mormon Church, or the LDS Church, to endorse his work. And then, you know, there's this running for Mitt Romney's seat happening. Let me tell you what this statement from the LDS Church says. Now, you got to remember, this guy is seen, Tim Ballard is seen as a folk hero who's out there saving children right and left all over the world, you know, doing all this stuff. Operation Underground Railroad has had a lot of criticism. So has Tim Ballard. There are law enforcement agencies that have come out publicly to say that that Operation Underground is a pain in the butt because they are a private organization. They don't have any jurisdiction to be doing any of the things that they do anywhere that they go, and that they often get in the way and cause problems with actual like governmental entities that are fighting child trafficking. I find these organizations, the Nazarene Fund and OUR, very concerning because they don't have any oversight.
Right.
There's nobody monitoring what they're doing. There's no gathering of their stats and data. You will not find a list anywhere of the children saved by Operation Underground Railroad. The numbers that are put out there are simply the things that Tim Ballard has said. Their money is handled through a nonprofit organization. So again, we don't know exactly how their money is being used and for what. There are lots of questions, and there's been a lot of criticism all along in the 10 years that Operation Underground Railroad has been around. There's a lot of criticism, and we're going to get to some of those individual stories in subsequent episodes. This is such a huge story. There are literally news articles coming out faster than I can read them about what's going on with this. And so we wanted to get ahead of it. We have our new podcast arm, Mormon Misdeeds Unveiled, and obviously this is going to go there as well as on our regular feeds, because we can give some insight into this in a way that not everybody can. So that being said, this is the statement that was sent from the Mormon Church's PR department to Vice. President Ballard, so M. Russell Ballard is the president of the Quorum of the 12, so they refer to him as President Ballard. So President Ballard and Tim Ballard, no relation, established a friendship a number of years ago. That friendship was built on a shared interest in looking after God's children wherever they are and without regard to their circumstance. However, that relationship is in the past. For many months, President Ballard has had no contact with the founder of Operation Underground Railroad. It has been said that he was actually participating in the investigation that was going on about Operation Underground Railroad and their money. The nature of that relationship was always in support of vulnerable children being abused, trafficked, and otherwise neglected. Once it became clear Tim Ballard had betrayed their friendship through the unauthorized use of President Ballard's name for Tim Ballard's personal advantage and activity regarded as morally unacceptable, President Ballard withdrew his association. President Ballard never authorized his name or the name of the church to be used for Tim's personal or financial interests. In addition, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints never endorsed, supported, or represented OUR, Tim Ballard, or any projects associated with them. President Ballard loves children all over the world. It has been his mission in life's work to look after them, care for them, and point them to their Savior. So,
which leads you to wonder, what are they trying to get out in front of?
Right. What are they trying to get out in front of? So we now know that there are accusations of sexual harassment from employees at OUR. We know that this investigation into the finances of Operation Underground Railroad has occurred. We know that Tim Ballard has been eyeing a Senate run to replace Mitt Romney. And it is at this moment that the Mormon Church, who rarely speaks up, has spoken up in a very public and unusual way.
Yeah, forceful way. I mean, that's a lot. A lot.
It is a lot. And y'all, if you're not Mormon, you might not get it, but this is a huge rebuke on Tim Ballard. It has been said by people who know Tim that he believes himself to be the Mormon Messiah, and that his work will bring the restored gospel of Jesus Christ, which is what the Mormons call their doctrine, to the world.
Yep.
And this is a huge slap to that particular belief. But yeah, we definitely, as we've been talking about this for the last few days, we're like, but what else? What else do they have a heads up about? What else is coming for Tim Ballard that they're going to get out in front of this? It is not a common thing at all. Normally, the Mormon Church just ignores things. Something big is going on here. And honestly, so much is coming out so fast that, already it's a landslide.
That statement that we have not and do not endorse his, his activities or endorse or assist. I mean, that's legal speak.
It is legal speak. It is also a pretty convenient way to say that they do not endorse him as a candidate for Senate in Utah.
No,
we do not endorse.
Does Elizabeth Smart and her father. They were also involved with Operation Underground Railroad. And a couple of years ago, in fact, her dad, I think, was like Ballard's right-hand man. And
Mhm.
they quietly left and withdrew their support from him too
They
over
did.
similar concerns.
Now Glenn Beck
Mhm.
and the LDS Church.
Mhm.
Something's going on here.
Mhm.
We have talked about Tim Ballard in the past, and that
Mhm.
we do have concerns about him and that we are not supportive of what he's doing. I
Mhm.
want to be really clear. We support very much fighting child sex trafficking and human trafficking of all kinds.
Obviously, yeah.
But it needs to be done in a way that is solution focused, that is safe for
Is
victims,
victim focused.
that makes sense, that has an awareness of various countries and cultures and the way things are happening. That is not how the work that Operation Underground Railroad comes off. I'm going
No.
to show you. So, this is a picture of Tim Ballard if you've never seen him before. This is Tim Ballard. Now, I'm going to show you a picture that you might find offensive. I find it offensive, but we're going to talk about it because it's important. This is a painting that was painted for Tim Ballard. Hang on one second. I want to be able to give you the full story on this. This so there's an artist in Utah, a fairly controversial artist. His name is John McNaughton. He painted this. Um, this is his rendition of the Underground Railroad. Now, we all know what the Underground Railroad really is, which was a group of abolitionists, that included Harriet Tubman to
Yeah.
save slaves. Well, these white people have now inserted themselves into that narrative. And I don't understand it. I don't know why we have to use that imagery. I think it's really inappropriate. Um, some things to note in the painting: it includes Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, and Abraham Lincoln. And they are flanked by figures whom the painter refers to as contemporary abolitionists or slave stealers, which is some of whom are Tony Robbins and Glenn Beck and Utah Rep Mia Love. So these people are actually painted into the painting. And slave stealers is a term that has been used for abolitionists.
Mhm.
And now we've got white savior complex Tim Ballard
Mhm.
painted into this situation.
Mhm.
Here are the problematic things about Operation Underground Railroad and the things that have been going on. They're a private entity. They are not overseen by anybody to oversee what are they doing, how are they using their money, what are their real stats. We don't know the answers to any of those questions because that information
Also,
can only be given by them.
what children? What's happening to the children after they are rescued?
Right.
What support is given then? What's happening in their world? What are we doing to make sure that they're okay? All of those things aren't being answered, and it is very concerning. It obviously, trafficking happens all over the world, and obviously, we care deeply about that. But people with, a god complex running around the planet playing GI Joe, and unfortunately, in this case, I this is becoming to look more and more like really dangerous and disappointing grift.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people, and I'm sure you're going to come for us. I'm sure this episode we'll probably have to turn the comments off, but are going to be pissed off at what we have to say. Now, we're not. We don't have to say anything. We're sharing
We're
what has
reporting
already
what's
been
already
uncovered, what's been written.
right.
But
All of our sources are going to be in
and
the show notes.
people are very upset because they believed in Tim. They gave Tim money. They've spent time with Tim. They have gone and listened to him speak. They think he's an amazing person. They think he's doing the work. This is going to shake up a lot of people, And plenty of people will defend him anyway, regardless of
Right.
whatever is to come here. I suspect that what we're seeing roll out here in pieces is a small amount of what's actually to come.
I
There
agree.
has got to be an
Well,
earthquake coming.
and there are accounts from people who have been involved in various operations
Hmm.
with Tim Ballard who have had several concerns, one of which is every single thing that they do is on film.
Hmm.
It's not protecting the privacy of the victims at all.
No.
Much of that has gone onto YouTube. There have been, as I understand it, 10-ish documentaries that have actually been filmed, edited, and are ready to go on Operation Underground Railroad that have never been picked up by anyone, if that tells you anything. One of
Hmm.
the big concerns that a lot of the criticism that comes for Operation Underground Railroad and Tim Ballard is that once the traffickers are arrested, the children are just sent off wherever in their own countries,
Hmm.
and there's no follow up. We don't actually know what happened to any of those kids. If they went somewhere safe, if they just got re-trafficked by someone else, there's not, the focus is very heavily on him going in with his team. They bring in children. So what they do is they pose as sex traffickers. His team does. They go in, they pose as sex traffickers, they contact local sex traffickers and say, we're having a party, we want this many children, blah, blah, blah. So they'll bring a group of kids to this
Hmm.
location. This is one of the ways that they do it. And then Ballard on film will negotiate a price. As soon as the money is handed over, they will signal local law enforcement who come in and arrest the traffickers and
Hmm.
then take the kids. But we don't know what happens to those kids afterward.
Right.
I mean, certainly getting them away from traffickers is very important. But what is so much more important is what is their aftercare?
Hmm.
And Operation Underground Railroad has stated before that they're not in the business of aftercare, that they then leave those children with wherever they are in the country that they're in.
Hmm.
But they're coming into a country they don't understand, don't always speak the language. Tim speaks Spanish,
Hmm.
but they don't necessarily even know if those children are going to safe places, if they're being returned to their families, if they're getting the kind of medical and mental health treatment that they need after the fact. It's
Hmm.
all about the win for Tim Ballard in the moment
Hmm.
and not actually the focus being on the victims themselves
Hmm.
and their care. And that's a huge concern. And that's a concern that I've heard and read from many, many people who have concerns over Tim Ballard's actions.
Yeah.
Is he, in fact, making things better? It's a good question. We don't know.
Yeah.
If he really wants organizations that have experience and skills and connections in other countries and those kinds of things, why isn't he raising money for the organizations that already exist for combating sex trafficking?
Hmm.
But that's not what's happening. They've been
No.
raising millions and millions and millions of dollars a year, you guys. It is huge amounts of money
Hmm.
with very little oversight into where that money is going. How are they being compensated?
Yeah.
Um, Ballard is famously wealthy in Utah.
Hmm.
Um, there are a lot of questions and concerns, and this is just speculation at this point because we don't know the answers to those questions. So that's what I'm doing
No.
is asking them.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to see more because Vice has been investigating Ballard for a while
Hmm.
and looking at what is he doing and what is really happening here and what are
Hmm.
huge questions around why is the Mormon Church separating themselves so publicly from him right now.
Hmm.
We have big questions.
Yep. So we'll be keeping a close eye because I suspect those answers are probably rolling out before you know it.
Well, yeah, I think that that's true. Ballard does have a new organization that he is working with that is his organization. It is called the Spear Fund, and it is currently raising money
Hmm.
for trafficking work. I think that's concerning considering the investigations that are going on right now.
Well, and that he has just left 2 organizations doing the same thing
Right.
to just keep doing it some more.
He is adamantly denying all of the allegations.
Of
He
course, yeah.
is refusing to believe that the statement from the LDS Church actually came from the LDS Church, although even KSL.com, which is a news organization that is owned by the Mormon Church, came out with an article today that said that Ballard doesn't believe that this statement actually came from the Mormon Church. However,
But it did.
KSL has independently confirmed that, yes, it did. So that is the Mormon Church saying, yes, we did say that, because they own KSL.
He made a big statement yesterday. I think it was yesterday or this morning at a place in Salt Lake called This Is the Place Monument.
Yeah.
And saying exactly that Ballard has been, M. Russell Ballard has been like a grandfather to him and still is, and he has no idea where this is coming from, and it's not true.
But I mean, the question remains, if Ballard is like a grandfather to him, why doesn't he just call him up? Sorry, my cats are having a fight. Why doesn't he just call him up and say, hey, Gramps, what's going on, right?
Yeah.
It's very clear in the statement that M. Russell Ballard has separated himself from Tim Ballard, and they are not in communication.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So this is big stuff. This is very concerning. Also, of course, Glenn Beck made some huge statements that he has now retracted and deleted his ex-Twitter posts about his anger at the LDS Church and his church leaders. And he has walked all of that back now. We have questions about who made that phone call. And possibly what Beck has been read in on. We don't know. There's a lot of questions about why is this happening? Why is it happening now? Is it because of the Senate run? Is it because there are investigations that are about to be revealed in this situation? We don't know. But what we do know is that we want people working in sex trafficking that are safe people, that are ethical people, that are people that are really doing the work. And, you know, people that really do this work, they don't talk about it publicly at all.
No.
Why would you, if you are a person going in, doing raids like this, be publicly talking about it and showing your face? That doesn't make any sense, does it?
No.
Also,
and anybody knows you don't show the faces of the victims.
No,
ever.
But they sure do in the videos that they've made. The identity of victims has not been protected.
No.
But the problem here is that the whole focus has been on Tim Ballard. As, you know, apparently the Mormon Messiah. We've got concerns, big concerns, guys. And we're not the only ones by any means. So we're going to link all of this stuff in our show notes so that you can go read it all and confirm it for yourselves. Please don't take our word for it. We didn't do this investigation. We're just going to talk about it. And as we do, we like to talk about these from being the angle of being an ex-Mormon and living in, you know, what some people refer to as Mordor, which is the Idaho-Utah Mormon corridor. And Mordor, yeah. And just, you know, kind of what we're seeing in our communities, you know, which is a lot of people running immediately to Ballard's defense.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing, guys. Mormons have a long history of protecting predators. A long history. We have talked about it repeatedly on this podcast. So, are Mormons in general really good judges of character when it comes to something like this? No.
Maybe not. Also, he's been setting his followers up for this moment for a while. In constantly talking about him being persecuted against. So many people swearing that movie this summer didn't, the press refused to talk about it. Everyone refused to acknowledge it, which I don't think was true at all because that's all I heard about. But always playing the I'm being persecuted against, and they don't want me to exist, and they're trying to shut me down. I feel like he's been laying the groundwork for this moment for a hot minute.
Mm-hmm. He's not an idiot. He knows he's been under investigation.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also got a big enough ego to think that even though he's been under investigation and all of this stuff is happening, that he should be eyeing a Senate run.
Mm-hmm.
Utah friends, please be prepared to use your vote.
Mm-hmm.
And we will continue to share this information as it rolls out and keep you updated on this case because, well, it matters a lot.
Yeah.
And it may go even deeper than we know at this point.
It's gonna. I'm going to say it now. It's gonna.
I think absolutely you're correct about that. All right. Well, you know it. We are the True Crime Squad. We will be back with another episode this week, as well as our case updates live stream that is always at 7 p.m. Mountain on Wednesday nights.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that on our Facebook page or on our YouTube channel, True Crime Squad. Yeah. And we do have this week, after case updates on Wednesday night, we have our watch party, which is, if you're a subscriber to our YouTube channel, we watch a true crime episode on Netflix, and we chat together. We all watch it on our own TVs, and we chat in a live stream. So we'll be doing that this week. We'll be announcing probably tomorrow, probably Wednesday.
It's Victim/Suspect.
Oh,
it's a documentary on Netflix. It's Victim/Suspect, and it looks very interesting. Our policies, we pick a documentary that's about an hour. This one's about an hour and 20. It's a little bit longer than we normally do, but I think it's going to be worth it. Yeah.
So if you want to join in on that with us, you just join our subscription over on YouTube, and it's $4.99 a month. And then we do these once a month. They're really a lot of fun. Just get to chat and talk shit during these documentaries. They're a lot of fun. So we'll be doing that this week, and we will always be coming back with more updates because there are so many things happening in the true crime world right now.
For sure.
Oh, my kitty Sandy is going to say hello for one last time because these two just cannot stay out of the screen. Well, thank you for being here. And you know what? We are the True Crime Squad. Have a good night.
Take care.